Hello, and welcome to today's Magic the Gathering historic video on Gruul Dinosaurs. Now, Gruul Dinosaurs is, by and large, a pretty, I suppose you would call it straightforward deck, but hey, I'm an aggro player. I am nothing if but predictable. And our plan is basically, like most aggro decks, to kill them by turn 5 or lose on turn 4. But with our loose game plan out of the way, we'll try and do a pretty quick little run-through of what the deck is. Early on, we have cards like Marauding Raptor, the Otepec Huntmaster, and Drover of the Mighty, as well as Burning Tree Emissary. But as early kind of... we'll call them mana dorks, in that the Marauding Raptor reduces all creature spells by 1 colorless mana. Otepec Huntmaster does the same thing for dinosaurs. And Drover of the Mighty is just a 2 mana 1/1. And the Burning Tree Emissary can also be used as a sort of pseudo ramp. And it will add to our power on the board, which we'll get to in a moment. The reason why we run these particular mana dorks is because they have utility outside of their sole ability outside of their first ability of just producing mana. The Marauding Raptor is a dinosaur himself and can get pretty big and pretty fast. The Huntmaster can give a dinosaur haste, which is nice for our top end, or really just any dinosaur in general. Drover of the Mighty, while still is more of a mana dork than the aforementioned 2. At least if we get a dinosaur on the field, he does become a 2 mana 3/3. Granted, it's not going to set the world on fire, but it's pretty good. We have a couple copies of Scavenging Ooze, since Uro is pretty common, and little bits of Graveyard Hate are pretty common enough that we put these in here. And we already talked about the Burning Tree Emissary sort of working as a pseudo ramp and adding to the power on the board. Light up the stage, very simple 3 mana impulse 2 cards, but you can Spectacle for 1 to do the same effect. Cheap card draw in an aggro deck, always good. We have a couple of Savage Stomps. Is this the best removal card ever? No, but it's not. It's actually more relevant than one would think. It can be very cheap if you target a dinosaur, and it's on theme. Savage Stomp has dinosaurs in the art, and it is a removal spell that isn't the worst. Thrashing Brontodon, just a big chunky boy that can get rid of potential problematic artifacts or enchantments. The Territorial Allosaurus, just a 4 mana 5/5, that if we have excess mana in the late game can also be kicked to fight a creature. We have 2 Charging Monstrosaurs as just a 5 mana 5/5 with haste and trample. Just a pretty big boy that can swing the turn he's played and can be reduced with all the aforementioned cost to be gotten out pretty early. Return of the Wild Speaker basically is, granted more often than not, more of a draw cards equal to the biggest non-human's power, but can be a sort of pump and finish the game kind of spell. We have a couple of copies of Yadaro, Wandering Monster. The early cycling can be useful and nice, again because he's a dinosaur also. He can be ramped to pretty easy with the aforementioned things, and if nothing else, it's one of those. He is just a 7 mana 8/8 with trample and haste. Just a charging Monstrosaur, but bigger. I have 2 Crater Hoof Behemoths who, while not a dinosaur, he damn well is one dinosaur, and he's good enough that we don't mind running the sort of non-synergy, but we're not afraid to sideboard him out in games where we don't think we'll be able to get to him. And really, the big Mama Jama is Galta Primal Hunger. Is a 10 and 2 green for a 12/12 trampling elder dinosaur. Where he cost, or we'll say they cost X less, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Not only, again, with our aforementioned early ramp tools, we can lower the cost of Galta, not only with their ramping abilities, but also any sort of their power also adds to what they can also, or adds an additional layer of reduction. And the Burning Tree Emissary can sort of be a ramper and also add to the power on the board, which is what I was talking about. This is where that comes into play, is getting Gulta down very early. And we have a couple Primal Mites for some, just make a target real big. Hell, it even has Gulta in the card art and in the flavor text. And it also can be just a good removal spell. And as for lands, we just have some pretty good, just are what I consider the best fast lands in the format. If you shock land, your check lands, and your pathways. But any sort of land you have that can come to play untapped. If you need to have a budget option, you can avoid temples, but if you have a couple Fabled Passage, go ahead and put those in. You want to avoid temples because you're an aggro deck at its core, and you don't want the downside that coming into play tapped brings. Now, granted, if it's the only rare you have, don't put any more than like 2, maybe 3, or even let's see, I think a Thicket is the name. Same thing, kind of, with a Sheltered Thicket. In that, if it's all your collection has, don't be afraid to run it. Sheltered Thicket's a little better because at minimum you can cycle it for 2. But again, by and large, you want lands that can come down untapped. You are an aggro deck at the end of the day. Sideboard, pretty simple. Rolling Vortex helps to put a clock on a game where you might not be able to get through. You can also turn off life gain. The free spell part doesn't really, has very few corner cases, so we're just going to ignore that. We have 3 Heroic Natures, because I believe there are about, I think, genuinely 30 sweepers in the format. We're an aggro deck, and we don't want to die. Return to Nature, nice modal card. Get you rid of target enchantments, artifacts, or a card from a graveyard, all of which can be pretty useful. Cindervines are a buttload of, say, your rampant growth, not rampant growth. I mean, yes, rampant growth style effects, but, plenty of non-creature spells that you can just get lots of little teeny tiny chip damage in long games. If you feel like you need to go longer, Cindervines is usually a good one. Rampaging Ferocidon as another form of anti-life gain also helps against token synergies and is a dinosaur, which in this deck is actually a relevant factor. We have 2 Colossuses for sort of the aggro mirror matchups, in that you can very easily... You also use it as ramp, but the ramp is more extra gravy on it. It can be a big creature in aggro matchups that's indestructible, and depending on what you can exile from either you or your opponent's yard, can also help to kind of pad your life total. And we have 2 Carnage Tyrants for your more controlling matchups that are really heavy in counter spells. And that's basically the deck. Not a whole lot of bells and whistles. There is one card, however, that if you have in your collection, I recommend you run. What is the name of that card? There is a Dinosaur in Exile. Ah, yes. If you have Ripjaw Raptors, do try and get these bad boys in here. I'm, again, just trying to save up money for call time. Otherwise, I would start opening packs trying to get this thing, maybe. But it's not like it's a requirement for the deck to work. The deck can work just fine. It's just, if you have a Ripjaw Raptor, try and slot it in for something like a Allosaurus if you want to. Just put it somewhere in the middle if you have it. The card draw is very nice in this deck. Now, with our little spiel out of the way, we'll do our standard 2, maybe 3 games, depending how things go. There we go. Fingers crossed we have some pretty good games. Again, as is often the case, I'm merely just looking to show what the deck can do. I still personally believe that I can show what the deck is supposed to do and lose a game. Oh boy. Of course, you want like a 3/4 lander and rest spells ideally. So we're sure not going to keep this. We'll go ahead and keep this, and we're going to check back the Wild Speaker. There we go. Hello, Caramel. Have you come to say hi to the Cat Dad? I love you. My little brown sugar baby. Oh, well, somebody's an older... Well, I'm going to assume the Koth reference is, you know, the mono red planeswalker from many moons ago, whom I don't even know if he lives. We'll go ahead and just stomp the ground on one untapped. We'll go ahead and play Drover of the Mighty, seeing how our thing to ramp to already has haste. Ooh, boy. Okay, so we're gonna actually... I lied. We're gonna... Well... We'll go ahead and Marauding Raptor. Next turn, assuming nothing goes totally sideways like a removal spell, we'll probably Pathway for green and play a couple Drover of the Mighties and a Huntmaster. Cycling a Shark Typhoon. Granted, that's not very telling as to what the deck is. I just now realized we can't actually play that Huntmaster. Never mind, problem solved. Still gonna keep with the rough plan. Next turn, we'll probably just Mountain and play our Monstrosaur. This has been a relatively slow opening, but hopefully it'll work. Did they miss a land? They did, which is good. Go ahead and Drover of the Mighty. We'll go ahead and just, again, as an aggro deck, we want to try and kill them as fast as we can. We'll go ahead and light up the stage and see what we get. Yadara's kind of nice, but we kind of can't cast either. We may be able to play Yadara next turn. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's an exile. Because it's Impulse Draw. But he did also miss a land. So what do you got there? We did see a good amount of non-creatures, seemingly. So I think we'll bring in some Cindervines. We're going to go ahead and bring in the Crater Hoof. I'd be very surprised if we actually get to casting the thing. Probably cut a Savage Stomp, seeing how I'm not convinced that we're going to be able to actually... Or, I'm not convinced we're going to have an actual target to stomp. So there's that. Isn't that right, Carnival? My brown sugar baby. Man, these opening hands are killing me. I mean, we're on the play. Or on the draw, I guess. It's something. Okay, that's... better. We'll go ahead and get rid of the Stomp. And fingers crossed, I don't regret that statement. This is a weird hand. Of course, we were kind of pigeonholed into taking it because it was a hand that had things to do. So I'm not gonna too much. Thought Erasure into something. Probably do you get rid of the gets rid of the Burning Tree, which I'm not actually convinced is the correct play. Especially that's kind of funny. Alright, game. Come on. Okay, so you were Esper to control the whole time. Okay, so we may or may not have made a bad call here and might need to bring in some Colossuses, maybe. We'll go ahead and Burning Tree into a light up the stage. Just look for things to do. Seeing how it's going to get... something from our hand's going to get eaten up anyway, so... I don't know if he takes the Allosaurus or the Monstrosaur. Oh, we're in some trouble. Okay, so I know what we're going to do. We're going to try and sideboard game 3 into a more what's the word? More like a mid-rangey deck. And hope that works. We're gonna go ahead and kill the Narset. I'm actually gonna just let him, if he can, if he cancels the Cindervine or counters. Yeah, that's fine. It's kind of annoying, but what are you gonna do? So we very clearly, I have a good plan of what we're going to do. Yeah, okay. I know pretty much entirely what this deck is, which is fine. So we're just gonna attempt to play to an out. Hopefully get him into game 3 where we're on the draw, and we'll be able to make a even better plan of sideboarding. Allosaurus is almost entirely a dead card, so that's getting cut for probably some... We're basically the majority of that sideboard's coming in one form or another. More important to get the Cindervines down now. There's very little chance we win this, so right now we're just on scouting out what our opponent has in their deck. Appears to just be a bland as dishwater Azorius, or not Azori, Esper control, which is fine. It's just not going to win any awards. Get rid of the Galta, which, to be honest, is the correct play. Go ahead and Rootbound. Play the card that likely gets countered. Again, we're just playing to our outs and for information in this game. Let's see, the other Savage Stomp's probably going to come out. The Allosauruses are probably going to come out. Probably going to take out the... Scavenging Oozes. Go ahead and keep this land in our hand here. See what our opponent does. Fair enough. One, two, three, four, five, 6 lands. Gonna go ahead and scry, or they're gonna go ahead and scry from Castle Vantress. One top, one bottom. So it wasn't great, otherwise you would have kept both on top and tried to doctor the order. But he feels comfortable enough to send something to the bottom. Go ahead and play the Brontodon on second main. Of course, the fact that he can basically always have priority because of Castle Vantress is a discouraging thing. Gonna go ahead and cycle it. Okay, so at least I know what this deck is. Again, it's fine. Not gonna win any originality awards, but it does the job. Okay, so you don't have Castle Vantress. Did you have another Shark Typhoon, maybe? It's pretty far for the course. Haha! It's a pathway! It's a land. That feels good. Little tiny victories are always nice. I'm sorry, did you bottom a castle? I would have probably kept that castle, but hey, to each their own. Might as well go ahead and play the card, since he knows it's there. The Huntmaster is not going to win any awards. We might actually Depending on what we draw, we might go to a game 2 here. Or game 3, sorry. Yes, yes, Teferi, aren't you so cool and loved by everyone? Way to live on the edge, dude. But of course, if you're looking to have a good control deck in Magic the Gathering, or in Historic to get into, you could do worse. If you have a counter for this, I think we just admit that the game is over. Yep. I'm not going to sit here and... All that's well. Moving on. Again, showing that you either win by turn 5 or you lose on turn 6. Go ahead, couple Carnage Tyrants. Go ahead and get rid of... Honestly, probably the Wild Speaker will almost never come into play. Primal Might, maybe. Savage Stomp can go. Scavenging Ooze can go. You get rid of 3 more cards. Probably get rid of a Light Up the Stage. And maybe like a Primal Might. What else to get rid of? Oh, the Allosaurus, that's right. Yeah, we'll do it like this. I haven't actually run into a whole lot of traditional control decks in my testing with this deck. So if nothing else, this is a good experience for me. Go and play first. Okay, that's not exactly a great opener, but it's got things to do. If he plays a Thoughtseize on turn 1, we are going to cry inside. Does he have it? Oh, thank God. Go ahead and get the Cinder Vines down early. Whatever chip damage we can get in is good at this point. Probably just Mountain and Marauding Raptor. Okay, it's giving you priority. So maybe some sort of frantic inventory. Wow, just Shiggle. Huh. Alright, I mean, it's 1 Shark Typhoon gone. I think we'll probably, if we don't draw another land, play a Pathway for green. Gotta be careful to not play Yadaro because we won't be able to draw anything with him anyway. Which is absolutely brutal. So we'll go ahead and do a Light Up the Stage, because that we can actually use. Go ahead and do a Drover of the Mighty, seeing how it lives through the Marauding Raptor Ping. This is a better opening. If he does have a sweeper, we kind of hate our life. Gonna be honest, kind of brutal. Go ahead and Hunt Master, and we will cycle it on their end step, so we can actually, you know, make use of the effect without the passive ability of Narset. Totally fucking us up, to be entirely frank. See what he does. Plays the Thought Erasure. Might as well... Well... That sounds silly, but I'm actually gonna let that happen. I'd rather him take a known entity card that potentially takes something really big and important. Is my thought process. Does he do anything else with his turn? Of course, you can hold, that's hilarious. He can hold Shark Typhoon mana and make a 1/1 if he wants to jump. Go ahead and attempt to make the trade or the smack into Narset. You know, do something. But he may have turned the corner. So I'll give it like 3 turns of draws. Because it is not looking good. We should have arguably mulliganed that first hand. Let it be known that I think that's where we messed up. But we can still draw some big stuff, make something happen here. No, we cannot. Okay, so we're just going to see what we draw. If we don't draw, like, the nuts, we just lose. And we'll just move on to the next game. Sweet. Go ahead and at least show the opponent what happened. That wasn't too bad. Again, just an aggro deck versus a control deck, and I honestly made a bad call on that keep. I probably should have done a more aggressive mulligan as opposed to like played it safe against the deck I had a rocky matchup against. So well, that's our takeaway lesson from today's match, kiddos. Although we are getting that sweet gold XP. We'll do one more game, you know, assuming some sort of terrible tragedy doesn't befall it. Like an AFK or something. Ah yes, Dr. Nerd. Go ahead and play first because we're an aggro deck. Why wouldn't we? This isn't the worst keep on the planet. So, you know, we've got that going for us. Somebody pre-ordered Zendikar. As evidenced by these. Just convinced that was outside my home. Go ahead and play a Stomping Ground tapped. And turn 2 will play a Huntmaster. Unless we draw something like crazy. Fingers crossed we don't get like a bone, like a stomp or something. That'd suck. What are you? I mean, you got my interest. Go ahead and give it haste with the Huntmaster. Okay, so if nothing else, this game, this draw right here, kind of shows what the deck can do. If we draw a land, we're cooking. But even if we don't, like, we've honestly got things to do. Equip warriors you control have double strike. Is this a... No, it's just a human token. Ah, okay. I know the bit we're going for here. We're going to go ahead and Primal Might that thing down, because I don't want to die to a double strike Colossus Hammer. I'm going to go ahead and X is 2. We're actually going to do it on the Huntmaster, fighting the Blade Master. Going to auto pay. And then we're just going to bonk. Some shenaniganry can still occur by all means. Again, looking for a land. If so, we can make some stuff happen. Yeah. That looks a little rough. This is flying in first strike, correct? If we draw a land, we're doing... Hey, there we go. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can't play that. So it is Monster Sword this turn. We won't attack with the Huntmaster, seeing how the potential to give... Hey! Bang, bang! There we go. The deck has done good against, like, an equal, like, mid-tier someone's just experimenting to have some fun kind of deck. Okay. Let it be known that if this game goes to a game 3, I think the plan will be to bring in, say, like 2 Return to Natures and maybe 2 Cinder Vines, but we might actually be able to just run it again. I may eat my words, so I'm gonna go ahead and, wait for that to backfire terribly. Honestly, this is not that bad. And we're on the draw? I'm just gonna keep this. It doesn't look like it, or it doesn't look like there's a whole lot to do here, but there is a plan. And with any luck, we might draw into something of relative worth. Gonna go ahead and let that Stomping Ground enter tapped. If nothing else, we can Hunt Master on 2, Hunt Master on 3. Which is, again, it's not going to win Originality Awards, but it'll do the job. Let's see what our opponent does here. Oh, boy. Does he have that, equip a warrior thing? I feel a sneeze coming on. One moment. Yeah, he had the thing. Okay, so I ate my words. We'll go ahead, return to nature, couple Cinder Vines, probably get rid of Crater Hoof. We're just looking to stop them from comboing off. Get rid of the returns. I might actually get rid of a light up the stage for another Cinder Vine. If I lose this game, let that go to a cocky, just like straight run back in game 2. But honestly, this is a good way to end the video. Boros Equipment versus Gruul Dinosaurs. You can't really ask for a much better. Oh, this is also going to be another good one. We're on the play. We can turn to play Burning Tree Emissary into a Drover of the Mighty. The Drover of the Mighty already adding 1 mana and the 1 attack power it has, so effectively taking 3 off of the cost of the Ghalta, as well as the 2 coming from the attack of the power of the Burning Tree Emissaries. This is honestly about as good as a person could hope to get. Being on the play, game 3 is going to be massive here. Burning Tree Emissary. Again, going with the plan as we just talked about. Now we're not gonna be able to play Ghalta next turn or something. I'm not, so foolish to assume. We'll see what he plays. A Srand. We'll go ahead and play another red source. We can tap that off the list. So if well, it doesn't really matter how I do this, does it? Because the same amount of damage is getting through no matter what happens. Gonna go ahead and Primal Might down the Sran. And then swing for 5. Of course, it would be lovely to be able to also cast the Ghalta off of the increased power, but let's just cut our losses and, get while the getting's good, as it were. Oh, boy. We'll go ahead and play a Cindervine. Never a player. I have literally never seen this played in Historic. Let's see. 3 mana core warrior, 3/3. Whenever you attack a player with 1 or more equipped creatures, draw a card. White, you may unattach equipment from a creature you control. If you do, tap that creature against indestructible. Okay. On their end step, sorry about having to read that. This is a good, commander, but I don't know if it's, terribly good as a constructed card. Okay. There's that. Suppose this is the question. Does he swing with the 3? Because I'm just going to let it through. Go ahead and cycle. Again, as I talked about earlier, giving just some form of card draw where it might otherwise be lacking it. We're going to go ahead and Burning Tree to add to the state of the board. And then we'll Thrashing Brontodon. I think I can actually... do we attack here? I think we can attack with all. Or with both. Sorry, all's the wrong word. Because I think we... Well, that might be... Again, let it be known that that might have been the wrong play. There's an Ancestral Blade. Go ahead and get pinged. You could move it over to Akiri. But that still doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. So we'll go ahead and play Galta. And I'm not foolish enough... Let's see, you can untap, tap it, it's indestructible till end of turn. I think we can afford to sit for a turn and then start swinging in with Galta. I attempted Fate once, I shan't do it again. Anything short of, like, the Colossus Hammer re-equip instant. And I think we're okay, because we can also blow up the game. Booyah! That was a good game! I think our couple games today, like, showed what the deck can do. We'll go ahead and show the deck list. We'll just do a quick little scroll through. In case you want to, say, try this deck out for yourself. It's pretty fun. Honestly, can be pretty flexible with wildcard collections if you want to. You don't got to be married to it. Hey, rare. I mean, it's a triome. It's nice. It's not gonna... anywho. Pretty good on budget. It's aggro. It's tribal synergy. It's pretty fun. So, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, you know, give the video a like. Sub if you like the channel. And if you want to talk about any sort of potential changes you might make, or ask about like what you might replace cards with, I'll do my best to respond. So, and with that, thank you. I'll see you in a few days when I do... I believe it'll be on Monday, or whatever, in a couple days. I just realized Monday's a bad point of reference. In a few days, I'll do my weekly catch-up video for all of the Kaldheim cards spoiled since the last spoiler video. Thank you all. Have a great day and be safe. Bye-bye.